Okay, let's proceed. So, our topic for today is all about deviance. So, next slide. So, we have here three definitions of deviance. We have relative, normative, and reactivist definition. So, first, deviance is relative, which means that an act or behavior can only become deviant when it is socially defined as such. For it varies greatly on many factors such as time, place, culture, situation, or context in which deviance occur. So take for example, di ba, what we have now is the so-called new normal, in which there are new norms that are being established due to this COVID-19 pandemic, such as wearing of masks and observing social distancing. So if people will tend to deviate from these acts, then they will be considered as deviant as compared to before in which these norms are non-existent. So in this example, we are looking at the time as an element or factor in which greatly affects in defining what deviance is. So it also implicates that deviance changes over time. So meaning, what is considered deviant behavior as of today will not be or might be considered as deviant in the future. So next, we have deviance as normative. So it talks about deviance as an act or behavior that violates a certain norms. So when talking about norms, norms are standards of conduct, behavior, or expectation that is shared or held within the group or society. So we have here four types of norms. We have folkways, mores, taboos, and laws. So talking about folkways, these are also known as customs or conventions. These are everyday norms that emerges out from repetitions and routines. So basically, talking about folkways, these are our common or habitual practices in everyday life. So in deviance, folkways marks the difference between what is right versus what is rude behavior. So examples of folkways are the concept of appropriate dress, usually the correct manners that we do whenever we eat, whenever we drink, or whenever we greet people, so on and so forth. So next we have mores. Mores are norms of morality. So these norms determines what is considered to be moral and ethical behavior. So in mores, it defines or it marks the difference between right versus wrong behavior. So examples of mores are the usual religious doctrines that we have. So next we have taboos. Taboos are norms, rather a strong negative form of norms. So these norms are strictly prohibited to be violated. So examples of taboos are the very known incest, right? We're very familiar with that, and the not eating of pork in our Muslim culture. So in taboos, it marks the difference between right versus what is forbidden behavior. And lastly, we have laws. Laws are formal body of rules that is enacted by the state and enforced by our police and other social control agents. So as for deviance, laws marks the difference between what is right versus what is illegal behavior. So we are very familiar with our social work legislations. So that is or are the examples of laws. So we have RA 9262, we have 9353, we have 7877, we have 7610, so on and so forth. So next, deviance is reactivist, which means that an act or behavior can only become deviant when there is or where rather where there is most likely or mostly attracted a negative reaction from social audiences. So what are these reactions to deviance? So we have sanctions. So sanctions have positive and negative. types. So in negative sanctions, it involves or it refers to punishments or negative reactions for a disapproved behavior, while in contrast to positive sanctions, where it involves rewards and positive reactions for approved behavior. So next, we have labeling theory. So in this theory, it premises that labels given to people uh, have a detrimental effect in one's identity or perception, not just in oneself, but also to others. Then we have this degradation ceremony. So it is a ritual designed to strip an individual's identity as a group member of a society. So an example of degradation ceremony is what we call the perp walk. So wherein a person who is suspected to commit crime is publicly arrested and put in a police car or police station. So followed by degradation ceremony is what we call the imprisonment, wherein a person is excluded to live among law-abiding people. So another way of defining deviance is through the objectivist and subjectivist approach. So first, objectivist approach defines deviance or conceptualizes deviance as a norm violation. So in an objectivist view of defining deviance, it sees that deviant behavior has certain characteristics that is observable and measurable through indicators such as the perceived harmfulness of the act, the rarity of the act, the negative reaction that comes from that certain act, and the norm violation itself. While subjectivist approach defines deviance or conceive deviance as a social definition, wherein it doesn't believe that deviant behavior has certain characteristics or that is measurable and observable, rather than it views deviance as a matter of perception, a matter of one's own interpretation of what deviance is or not. And the ultimate means of defining deviance is through the societal reactions that coming from audiences. So as you can see in the slide, so I put an arrow in the reactivist definition because it is more of explaining uh, deviance through reactivist approach, while objectivist approach um, more likely defined through normative definition. So next, so we have here theoretical perspectives on deviance. So in theoretical perspectives on deviance, it is grouped according to three major sociological paradigms. So we have functionalism, conflict, and symbolic interactionism. So first, we will discuss theories under functionalism. But before that, what is functionalism paradigm? So it models that society is composed of different parts that functions or works together to contribute to the whole. So as for deviance, according to Emile Durkheim, deviance is a key component of functioning society. So meaning, he believes that deviance has a vital role or has a vital function in the society. And as a conclusion, Emile Durkheim proposed four functions of deviance. So it is not reflected in the slide, but I will explain it. So first, uh, the function is deviance. The function of deviance, rather, is it affirms cultural norms and values, wherein as deviance behavior is observable to be punished, it reinforces the society to see what is appropriate and inappropriate behavior. Number two, it clarifies moral boundaries. So deviance challenges the boundary between what is right to what is wrong behavior. So it helps the society to distinguish what is right to what is wrong behavior. Next, it promotes social change. It promotes social unity, wherein the group collectively affirms the rightness or wrongness of a certain act. So there is this what we call the we feeling. Next, we have deviance, as it promotes social change, wherein deviance encourages the dominant society to see or to take alternative norms or values that is already established in the society. So here, um, people, not all the time that people will agree in a certain norm. So there are some disagreements in some norms that are being established. And therefore, it challenges the society to rethink or redefine that certain norms. Next, so we will discuss the first theory under functionalism. So we have strain theory. So this theory is proposed by Robert K. Merton. So in this theory, Merton emphasized the importance of two elements in society. We have cultural goals and institutionalized means. So talking about cultural goals, these are objectives held as legitimate or desirable for a member of society to achieve, while institutionalized means refers to the approved ways in reaching the set cultural goals. So deviance comes in when there is this so-called strain that is happening. So strain refers to the gap, lack, or discrepancies between achieving the cultural goals through the use of institutionalized means. So therefore, a person or people tend to deviate or to engage in deviant behavior when they will not use institutionalized means, meaning there is a lack of institutionalized means rather, in achieving the set cultural goals. So in response to strain, people tends to adapt, which is proposed by Merton, the five modes of adaptation. So we have here conformity, innovation, ritualism, retreatism, and rebellion. So first, conformity. So for example, the given cultural goals is the economic success. So in conformity, the person both accepts the cultural goals and the institutionalized means. So, di ba, given that our example is the cultural goals is the economic success or achieving economic success. So in conformity, people here has the goal for economic success by using approved ways such as studying very hard or working very hard in a job. So next we have innovation. So innovation accepts cultural goals but rejects institutionalized means. So people here has the goal for economic success, but they do not use approved ways. So instead of using approved ways, instead of studying hard, instead of working hard, they tend to steal or cheat, or by doing so, in order to achieve economic success. So next we have ritualism. So ritualism, here it rejects cultural goals but accept institutionalized means. So people here has no or ignores rather the economic success or goal of economic success, but they continue to do approved ways, such as they continue to go to school or they continue to go to the job or the work. Next, we have retreatism. So here it both rejects cultural goals and institutionalized means. So people here has no sense of goals, And at the same time, they also have no means in achieving it. So next, we have rebellion. Rebellion here, instead of accepting cultural goals and institutionalized means, they do the other ways, meaning they set new goals and new means in order to become successful. So next, we have social disorganization theory. So this theory is proposed by the University of Chicago. So in this theory, it focuses on the conditions of the environment, community, or the neighborhood as more specific. So deviance comes in when there is this so-called disorganization that is happening. And this organization refers to the breakdown of order or system in the community, wherein there is this so-called weak social ties and lack of social control in the community. Talking about weak social ties, it refers to the weak of bond, attachment, or relationship between institutions such as family, school, church, or the community itself. And as of lack of social control, it refers to the lack of regulation or reinforcement of what is appropriate to inappropriate behavior. And this disorganization is caused by the following conditions, such as poverty, residential mobility, and ethnic heterogeneity. So talking about poverty, it refers or it involves the scarcity or insufficiency of the resources in the community. So poverty results to what we call residential mobility. And when we talk about residential mobility, it is the frequency of changing residences, meaning there is this fast in and out or moving in and out of the community. And as a result of this residential mobility, there is what we call ethnic heterogeneity, wherein as people move in and out of the community, there is the high probability of having a diverse community, which rather there is this different ethnic groups existing within that community. So next we have cultural deviance theory, which is proposed by Walter B. Miller. So here, this theory focuses on the set of values existing in a disadvantaged community or neighborhood. And people living in this kind of community are usually in the lower class. So deviance comes in when there is this existence of subcultures. So these subcultures refers to the people in the lower class setting their own values and norms that is totally different from what is the dominant culture of the society. So these subcultures tend to deviate what is being uh, established in our society or what is our culture in general. So these deviant subcultural values is referred by Miller as, or is called by Miller as focal concerns. So what are these focal concerns? So we have trouble, toughness, excitement, smartness, fatalism, and autonomy. So talking about trouble, so it refers to people in the lower class engages in deviant behaviors that usually intervenes by the social control agents such as police, wherein, for example, people in the lower class usually involves in fighting. So there is this interference of police in terms of controlling this act of fighting. Then next, we have toughness. So people in the lower class uh, have this culture of being tough. So usually it refers to the male or to the husband in the family, wherein there is this distorted image of masculinity, wherein the man or the husband should be seen as dominant in the household, and therefore they will be seen as a strong or dominant in the family. Next, we have excitement. So people in the lower class usually involves in things that arouses their excitement, and these things are usually deviant in nature, wherein for example they involve in gambling or in sexual acts and such. Next, we have smartness. So people in the lower class usually uses this what we call smartness, wherein they tend to use their verbal skills in order to manipulate people. So usually they are people who engages in fraud and con activities. Then we have this fatalism. So people in the lower class believes that they have a little control over their life, wherein they believe that life is just a matter of being lucky and not lucky. And next, we have autonomy, wherein people in the lower class wanted to be independent from what is being established in the community. And next we have here, so we are now in the conflict paradigm. So theories under conflict paradigm are unequal system and power elite. So going back, so first, what is conflict paradigm? So it views or it models society that is composed of groups that are continuously competing in a given scarce resources. So there is a competition and conflict that exists within the society. So here we have an equal system. So unequal system is proposed by Karl Marx. So Karl Marx is very known for his concept of capitalism. So here in this theory, it sees that um, the general population is divided into two groups. We have the bourgeois and the proletariat. So bourgeois are the capitalists, or they are the ones who holds power and wealth. They are the ones who owns the means and productions, while proletariat are the workers who solely depends on these bourgeois for their survival. So here, uh, deviance arises from inequalities and wealth and power that arise from the economic system. So in unequal system, it spoke a little of deviance, but it serves the foundation of the intersectionality of deviance and social class. So usually, people who is or who are proletariats engages in deviant behaviors rather than the capitalists or the bourgeois. So next, we have power elite that is proposed by C. Wright Mills. So in this theory, deviance arises from the ability of those in power to define deviance in ways that maintains the status quo. So what is elite? So elite are small group of wealthy and influential people at the top of society that holds the power and wealth in controlling the definition of deviance. So as you can see in this slide, there is this pyramid figure. So what is in the top is what we call the elites. So deviance or people engages in deviant behavior are usually in this uh, lower class or the masses of people that are unorganized, exploited, and mostly uninterested. So people engages in deviant behaviors are mostly in the lower class because people who are elite controls what deviance is, because as they control power and wealth, they can also uh, influence uh, the acts of defining deviance. So next we have next we are in the symbolic interactionist paradigm. So the first theory under symbolic interactionist is the labeling theory of, who is this proponent? So the proponent of labeling theory is Howard Becker. Oh no, di pala. Si George Herbert Mead pala. So in this theory, it focuses on the labels that is given to people which makes him or her considered to be deviant. So deviance arises from the reactions of others, particularly those in power who can determine labels. So as you can see, this is the labeling model. So we have the behavior, audience reaction, and self-conception. So according to Edwin Lemert, there are two types of deviance. We have primary deviance and secondary deviance. So in labeling theory, deviant behavior can only be classified when these labels are being attached to the person. So in Edwin Lemert's two types of deviance, talking about primary deviance, a person who is labeled as deviant, wherein the act itself. So labeling theory of deviance states that deviance arises from the reactions of others, particularly those in power who can determine labels. So in this theory, it focuses on the effects of labels given to people, especially deviant labels, wherein it affects one's self-conception. So here we have this labeling model in our screen. So there is this, for example, the behavior. Okay, sorry, nawawala ako. Sige. So again, this label, we have here labeling model. So here, it talks about the cycle of labeling wherein affects one's self-conception. So here, behavior, then we have audience reaction, then self-conception. So for example, if a person is being labeled as addict, drug addict, so this behavior tends to affect one's self-conception coming from the audience's reaction. So given that people is labeled as a drug addict, therefore there is this effect in his or her own self-conception, or it has a uh, detrimental effect in one's self-identity and um, behavior. So next we have differential association theory that is proposed by Edwin Sutherland. So in differential association, deviance arises from learning and modeling deviant behavior seen in other people close to the individual. So here, the development of deviance comes from the association of a certain person in in a given group or society. So we have here three characteristics of differential association. We have factors such as the exposure, the length of exposure of the behavior. The next, the models that provides the act or the behavior may be deviant or not, and the age of exposure of a person in a given act or behavior. So these factors are very important in developing one's own um, behavior, or or which can be appropriate or inappropriate. So next, we have social control theory that is proposed by Travis Hershey's. So here, he under this theory, uh, it says that deviance arises from feelings of disconnection from society. So we have here a diagram that explains the social control theory, wherein it describes what is conforming, or what is the difference between conforming behavior and criminal behavior. So in conforming behavior, there is this what we call uh, strong factors that promotes or reinforces what is conforming or appropriate behavior, which is, or which are the following: the attachment, commitment, belief, and involvement. So if these four factors are connected from each other and very strong in one's in an individual or in a family or in a community, therefore people will not um, conform to criminal behavior. So as you can see, uh, these lines that uh, that points to criminal behavior are disconnected. So meaning there is weakening, or there is this disconnection of these four factors, which is the attachment, commitment, belief, and involvement. So people will tend to deviate, or will engage in deviant behavior when there is this weakening of attachment, commitment, belief, or involvement in the family, the cult, in the family, the school, the government, or the church, or the community itself. So that is where deviance or deviant behavior comes from. So I think that's the end of our discussion for today, because